Mr. Colman Power. How are you, sir?
I'm very good.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. We know each other outside of this setting, and I've been on yours before, but I'm just mad to have a chat with you about all things that you're interested in, fitness, so forth. But actually hearing your insight into growing a business, finding joy in that, talk about some of the challenges and even your early experience in school, what that was like for you. We're very similar in many ways. I'm not as handsome as you, of course, but
Stop.
Oh, stop it,
We
you.
were buttering each other up here before we pressed the start button on this lovely timer in front of him.
But for me, I'm dyslexic as well. I have dyslexia and ADHD. You don't have a diagnosis of ADHD?
Diagnosis is a strong word, right? We're underlining that.
But we're very similar in the capacity of reading has in somewhat limited our ability to access information. So we were just talking about it beforehand, leaning into Audible, and we're resourceful enough. And you show to me a lot of the characteristics that I would see that people would have with dyslexia, that while they might struggle with their ability to express themselves in written word, they develop this really good skill at expressing themselves in their spoken word. You have that in abundance. And often that ability to kind of connect with people comes through our ability to express ourselves. So noting that, just tell me a little bit about you and dyslexia and school and education, because I know you went on to do a master's and everything. So talk to me a little bit about your journey in primary, secondary school, or even this kind of struggle, and then go into the college side of the things.
Yeah, it's not something that I actually talk a lot, or previously ever talked a lot about my own school experience. But primary school and secondary school, definitely you could put me in the struggle category.
Yeah.
Didn't really enjoy school for that part, being taken out of different classes like religion and Irish to go get help with your English. And that's what it was for as long as I can remember. I'd say from first class when we were getting like Holy Communion, second class when we were getting Holy Communion, Colman, we're going to take you out. Obviously there was chats there, but it was kind of going way over my head. But yeah, didn't ever excel at either, I'm going to say, the likes of any of the academia stuff.
Yeah.
And even at sports for a long time. For a long time, struggled with that. So I wasn't really the happiest kid, but I was fine. Do you know what I mean? I'm tough enough from a country background, and that's kind of my upbringing with a younger brother and an older sister. And my sister would be much more academic than me. And my brother is diagnosed dyslexic too. I don't actually talk to him a lot about his dyslexia, but he's gone into IT, and I'm gone into kind of using my hands and using my own, I suppose, best ability to have a job and be self-employed. But after that, I suppose after primary school, going into secondary school, again, that's a major jump there, being with a larger group of people. We were in a large enough school, secondary school, Kilmac Thomas in Waterford, St. Declan's, and it was 800 in that school. And it is kind of that thing, you either sink or swim, and I definitely wasn't swimming going into secondary school. And I wouldn't like to say that I was ever bullied, but I wouldn't have had really a great name for being in with the cool kids, or even in with the sporty guys, or because I couldn't get on the bloody teams. And I definitely wasn't a farmer, because I don't come from a farmer background. Actually, my mother and father are actually psychiatric nurses. So that's kind of, I suppose, me going into secondary school and getting diagnosed when I was about 15 or 16, and then getting exempt from Irish, which I'm actually relearning now, because I kind of like it.
Good on you for doing that.
Yeah.
Come back to it.
Love it. Just tell me kind Greg, a gocklaw, and I only have a couple of sentences. But
a couple of fuckle of gum.
Yeah.
Shinny.
But in that just 30 seconds there, the two of us look healthier and happier.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's a lovely thing that I think we've lost. Like, I went to an all-speaking primary Irish school, so they were like, you'd imagine it would be good. It wasn't. But they, like, looking back now, I didn't have my diagnosis for dyslexia until much later on. But they would have said that. They would have said that, like, if we'd known before, they would have pulled you out. My ability, I've had a natural interest in other languages, and I've traveled for years, but I definitely struggle with the idea of learning it. So, like, I'm Bula Bossakara, because I would, like, my hat goes off to you massively. So well done for, coming back to it now and trying.
Yeah, and I'm not brilliant at it, I'm a million miles away, but I'm tracking my own progress through, like, Duolingo, literally talking to a randomer in the car park. Osgrega, yeah, cúpla focal. Agus Kunstato Tote Gobert, Gordine, agus you. Just all them small little things. Amazing. Touch a greening tan of little Mickey Mouse things. And so I didn't do it for my the Irish. I didn't do it for my junior cert. or my Leaving Cert. But because of my abilities, that I was only kind of learning about myself. I actually was down in the back of class, meant to be doing other work, but I was, other than throwing rubbers, was no, miss, that was not me. I am here, so good. And I wore glasses through school to give you another background. So it's kind of like fitting the scene of completely different man to where you're sitting here in front of you now, tall, dark, and handsome as Danaher would call me. So I sat down the back and I listened, and I asked for the could I do the oral in Irish? And she said, "Come, you haven't done it, you know what I mean, since second year." And I was like, "I'd have a fair old stab at it here now. I've been listening a lot, and I'm a much better listener than I am, do you know what I mean, at any of the written capabilities in school, academics." So I went down, I never forget it, down in room 17, went down there into the Gaeilgeoir, and as a result of that, came out with a D3, had a couple of sentences, and I'll still never forget them.
Fab.
Swear to God, just rattled off a few sentences, and then Níl Gum, talking about Nakoni. I was like, oh great, yeah, they're all Port Larga, Nakoni, I guess, the Hendra Hars, Hendra Four, and kind of went off of that. And but I can see the words, but I couldn't spell them. Yeah, so that's, I see things, as dyslexics they could say, they see things slightly different to others.
We see patterns, we see systems. Like most of I would say nearly all of the entrepreneurs in this space are somewhat on the scale of being neurodivergent. So they either have ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia. The reason I'm bringing this up is I work with a lot of young people who are really struggling in school, and their self-worth is tied into school. It can be really detrimental for them because they feel like they're not good at, because we're told you're not good at, you're not successful, you're not capable, you're not competent. These are all the primary years where we need somebody to say you're actually class and you're good at. And when we don't have that support network, it can be very difficult to believe that we can do anything past that. So you're a man who had the struggles, who's identified that, and even identifying that maybe I wasn't cool or into fitness, to a guy who is now Colman Power Organic Fitness, a beast. But you've built that and then built a business. A lot of business owners have to be amazing problem solvers because we are dealing with that all the time. And we also have to think about 27,000 things at once because you have all of these emails, phone calls coming in. You've 6 or 7 different projects on the go, and like navigating all of the dynamics that come with that. Neurodivergent brains are really good at that because we have lived with struggles. Even that idea and that ability to express resilience in a place where I haven't done any Irish, but fuck it, I'm going to give this a shot. I'll go down now and throw a couple of fúcail at them and see how we go. Like, there's loads of learning for us, and it does make us great business owners. And I think just to really kind of hone in on that strength, my biggest fear of a lot of the teens that I'm working with is they believe they're not going to have any success in life, and they've tied their whole identity into academia. I am only what my mark says I'm worth. So I'm only, if I get an A, then I'm that good. If I get an F, I'm that good. And I want that story to change, that it's one measurable scale of learning. There's so many more, like the two of us having the chats about the Audible. So yeah. So, and then like inside school, like that's tough. I know, like, you kind of brush past it a little bit, but even that identity of saying like, I wasn't cool, I probably wasn't strong, I wasn't good at sports, and I wasn't good at school. Like that's
it was. I'm going to say it was tough.
That is not an easy childhood experience. I would say that is like, we're always looking to say, am I good at? And you didn't have that.
No, in any of those main, I'm going to say, areas, whether it's sports or schools, and it's usually kind of one or the other.
Yeah.
I was so small. I am still not massively tall. Can't change your height, but you can change your strength. I remember all the way from first to second to third to fourth to fifth, when all the way up I was still as 18. My mother and father stood beside coaches and selectors to see Colman get 5 minutes on soccer teams and things like that. I'll never forget it. It was nearly a little bit embarrassing, but like my parents are brilliant. And
I met your dad. He's awesome.
Yeah, my dad is pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah. My dad's cool.
No, yeah. But for a long time, I suppose I had a strict enough upbringing. It's like, just, do you know what I mean? Do your homework, go outside, chop the timber, mow the grass. As a result of that, there wasn't veg patches at home. It was just literally work at something else, and just literally try and be productive. Even if you're not unbelievable in school, just keep going. Just don't ever stop. That was, supposed to be ingrained from 2 of my parents who worked as shift workers on days and nights, and there was only ever one person at home all the time, so they worked opposite shifts. And so it's that work ethic that I would have seen as a child growing up, and you emulate the people that you hang around with, and I mean, you're hanging around with your parents for a long, long time. And that's where I suppose I get that kind of that grit from. Like we didn't grow up in riches, but we weren't poor either. And I don't ever try to play the poor Colman. I had to me, you weren't great in school and you weren't great at sports. And I'm like, I don't really want that. I don't want the sympathy. Oh, Colman, look, he was a little small and mad, and now he's a little bit taller and a little bit stronger. Is he the way he is now? Way stronger. Way stronger. Underline that. Oh, this is a podcast. So shout out that. But I just want to get on with things. Like if I get hurt, if I get injured right now, let's say I injured my hand, I would just use my right hand. People say, oh, I can't do this. I can't do the exercise because of this. I don't look for excuses. I just look to get on with it. And that's something that you can learn, right? But you need to get up over any of the, I suppose, hurdles along the way. Support is massively important. I suppose having a supportive family, and that can be difficult for other people, but it's also something that as soon as you become 18 or go into your 20s, that you have to find people. Like, I'm grateful to come across you. I'm grateful to, I don't know, just your Butter and Danaher up here, just because the support that through similar attributes, through similar, I'm going to say, business owners, that we bounce off each other, and that's where you can kind of improve as well. Asking, I love this quote, ask the right person the right question, you get the right answer. We were chatting all about different things just before we started this podcast, and you were the same. I would ask you a question, you would give me, and it's and that's how you learn. You find your tribe, you find who can help you, and literally that's who you, I suppose, and everybody should spend the majority of your time with.
It's a really powerful space as well, and I agree. Like we can see the success and the trajectory of our life by the people that we surround ourselves with. I lived in Shannon for years, and I suppose my social network was the people that I grew up with, but maybe the behavior patterns that I was engaging in weren't healthy or good for me when I remained there. Where things changed for me is the first time I moved to Portugal, and I sat around people that were just going to college, they were living healthy, there was a real difference. And I sat around them, and that stuff rubs off you. And now, as I've went from studying OT to now running a business, I'm finding that I'm around business owners like yourself. And that's really helpful. Not only that we can talk about the struggles, but the wins and the successes and the growth and what we want out of it. And I think it makes a massive difference to have that. And we would always say, you know, the people who, the 5 people around you would have a huge positive or negative impact on your life. So choose them wisely. And I believe wholeheartedly that's everything. I speak about connection all the time. I speak about relationships all the time. I believe it's why we're here, is to connect with people and experience love in whatever that capacity looks like, if it's friendships. So having people that fill your cup, that make you feel loved, that we get to feel comfortable expressing love to, is the best thing in this world, to leaning into being our authentic self and just expressing that. So I think, it's lovely hearing that, like even that positive relationship, and even learning work ethic as well from parents. You mentioned a few things there, like having to cut the wood, having to do the lawn. My early childhood experience was having to cut the wood, having to do the lawn. And I developed tons of skills. Also developed skills of learning how to be an entrepreneur from a very young age. Me and another lad, we borrowed £100. We bought a lawnmower. We were about 11. We paid back the lawnmower that day because we went out and we cut enough gardens to get the money. And we made an absolute fortune. I was collecting golf balls at I'd say, age around 12, babysitting at young ages. And I was having this conversation with Dan. I think a lot of young people are missing abilities to work hard, learn work ethic, do tough things, and develop that entrepreneur brain or that ability to experience hard work and understand that this is what we need to do. I work with a lot of teens, they may have never cut a lawn. I work with a lot of teens who may never cut a meal or dress their bed or do. And I think it's lovely to hear that the growth that comes from that, and you can still reflect like the power of hard work. Yeah. Probably weren't loving having to cut the grass and do this stuff at the time, but it's okay for us not to be loving all the roles as well.
Yeah, but and from that, I totally agree with you there. I'm thinking back now, one of my first entrepreneurial roles was I actually used to, I did a little bit of that, but my first one was actually selling lines. I actually used to,
bingo card kind of lines.
No, more so that I will not forget my copy and book for English or Irish class. I used to do that because I used to say, this is amazing. The bold lads don't want to do it. And I was like, you give me £2, I'll do it for you. Perfect. Back at the bus, no problem at all. I will not forget 50 times just write it out. Because I was like, I'm going to school anyway. I might as well literally maximize my time here. And literally, as the 30 minutes was passing on the bus, I'd have no bother 50 lines done for Martin Scurry. Martin Scurry, shout out if you're
Martin, shout out, kid.
No bother.
Still owe you €2.
Yeah. Or William Phelan. Oh my God, he was a great lad for getting the books. So I used to write them out for him, no problem at all. And then I was like, if I can maximize my time for 2 pens together. Perfect job. I will not forget my book. Never forget it. I made up a fair bit of coin there. I couldn't remember the exact amount, but those are, I suppose, one of the first things I started to sell. Selling my time, writing the lines for all the lads.
All the boldies.
All the lads.
Did they not recognise that all the spelling was wrong because you were dyslexia?
Oh, the boys weren't great to spell on either, so it all merged together.
There's so much in that. I think I think we miss, first of all, I think the cheeky chappy side of you to do that is what entrepreneurs are. There's a little bit of a cheek. There's a little bit of a willing to push boundaries and see outside of the box and to get an extra €2, your gas man. But I think it's learning the value of work and money and learning that young. Do you think that's important for young people now? And do you think they're missing in that? And I know this is my space, but I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that people should start working as soon as people are like, oh God, child labour, all that. I'd be like, will you give us a break back? So we've worked on farms for that's our literally real Irish, tough Irish people. And what they always did, they went out, they milked the cows, they brought in the buckets if they couldn't milk the cows, they literally collected up the hens. People are afraid of dirt. There's definitely dirt underneath my nails. Do you know what I mean? I have 30 secateurs in my pocket. Do you know what I mean? If I pull it out, whatever's inside in that pocket, it's probably a spud in my left pocket. I'm visiting farms the next day or two also.
You don't normally just carry spuds around your pocket.
I'm going to go in for the crack. So there's a couple. Interesting.
Is it interesting or is it interesting to you?
What's interesting to me must find some sort of knowledge. I'm going to go with 3. What we go for? Right, so this one's pretty cool. This is actually a purple potato. Yeah.
For those who can't see it, Colman's after pulling out some veg. I can see an onion. I'm looking at an apple, I'm guessing.
And yeah, not in particular apple. It is actually a crab apple.
It's a crab apple.
A crab apple, yeah. We were actually collecting those and feeding them to free-range pigs in Portlaoise.
And you've another adventure off to Italy soon. Yes. Tell me a little bit about that.
We're going to, I'm going to say Tuscany. So we're going to several different farms out there where we're going to plant and learn all the, I suppose, the skills about planting a truffle inoculated farm for anyone who wanted to emulate that coming back over to Ireland. I've watched some of the content online. It's really interesting, even around truffles, like how expensive they are. They are very, very expensive, but the method of finding them I always thought was really unusual, like pigs and dogs to go and search and sniff them out. What an unusual business, but there's obviously a demand for the service, so. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people interested in it as well as, do you know what I mean? We not only get to visit the farms, we get to taste the food over there. And it's definitely not going to be your standard typical lie on the side of, I'm going to say, a pool and get your margaritas handed to you. And that would be my worst nightmare.
I was going to say that doesn't, when I envision you, it's not really lying beside a pool with a margarita in your hand. It is movement, it is running, it is.
I would actually be handy for you with the margaritas because I could do the steps and maybe do a squat or a swim and then kind of hop up again and do it again.
So it definitely doesn't strike me. Coming back to that idea of work and getting young people to work, I agree. And I think there should be more initiatives to get young people on doing farm work, growing vegetables. There has been a few projects in Cork for adults who are struggling with their mental health to engage in growing vegetables to improve their wellness. And there's great research around that. And I think the momentum that they're seeing from that is it's developing a tighter community. People are feeling like they're part of something. They get to work for something, and it may take time before they get to reap the rewards of the product. But there's connection. There's hands being in soil, feet being in soil, and feeling really good around that. So I think we're very disconnected from what food is, but also the understanding of the process of how it is made and how it's. So I love your content, and I love that it brings that back, and it is more natural. It's more like organic, that kind of push for that. but it's about putting our feet and our hands in the muck and just coming back to the way we should be as well.
It's such a de-stressing thing for anyone, whether they're dealing with mental health or anything else in between. And I would never say that I deal with mental health. I have tough days. I have, I'm going to say, better days. And my tough days aren't anywhere close to people that are massively struggling. And it's a really important point that I wanted to touch on here today. Like, my life isn't perfect. I do get stressed. Without a shadow of a doubt, I wish there was loads of things that were better for me right now in the position that I'm in. But I don't try focusing on those. I try focusing on the positives. I eat healthy. I get outside. That helps massively. Most people don't do the simple things. They don't get outside. They don't touch soil with their hands or touch their feet on or go for a swim, which is the water again is therapeutic. We all kind of know these things. You don't have to buy the fancy mentorship program to become caveman or anything else close to it. You just need to get outside and eat real food. That's probably the most simplest thing that anyone can take in from the likes of anything that I've ever said.
And it's simplicity when you say it. And there is simplicity into minding our health, but there is a lot of distractions along the way. And there is a lot of very clever marketing to pull us different directions. And I would see different people from different education or different interests having different health outcomes. And I was having a conversation earlier about this. We're speaking about the location of where you live will define the longevity of your life. And I'm not saying that that's your destiny is set when you're born in a certain area, but when you're born in a certain area, certain foods will be pushed your way. From the north side of Cork, I've been in shops in Knocknaheeny, and you can see that some of the food that they're promoting or pushing are fast food. It is cans of Monster. It is big slabs of 24 cans of Budweiser, all of these 24 slabs of Coke. You see that in the first, as soon as you enter the shops. And then you see in the likes of Wilton or places that are a bit more well-to-do, you will find sushi. You won't find that in others. So I do think there's a level of responsibility, a personal responsibility that we have to take over our health and well-being. But I think there's certain people that may not have the education to say that this is the right thing for me. Like, this is what I know this is healthy. Or people making financial decisions saying, I would have heard that all the time. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Organic food is too expensive. Organic.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah. I would hear people saying that, or there's actually no availability for that. Or should I bother eating one organic veg if that's all that they're selling in the shop and they've nothing else? Or this piece of organic fruit and veg. And sometimes in the Marina market, not the Marina market, the English market, came from France. It came from other countries. Like, there's boxes of veg in there. I'm like, none of this is Irish. And it's like, what is the right decision then to make around that? So I think there's probably a lot of pushback, and I'd be love to hear your insight into even the pushback around that.
Yeah, and another point that I'd love to even chat about on travel. Like, do you know what I mean? I didn't have a perfect diet. I had cornflakes, I had Weetabix, drizzled with sugar. I wouldn't even touch milk because I couldn't tolerate being lactose intolerant at the time. I was eating like a biscuit. I was eating Nutrigrain bars. I was eating sweets, jellies till they came out my ears. I couldn't tolerate a lot of chocolate because there's too much lactose in it. I had a fairly terrible diet, right? Up till I was about 18, and then I went into college and I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and so that's kind of telling people, oh, do you know what I mean? Wherever you are, whatever your parents are giving you or whatever's in your community, I'd be like, again, you're kind of looking for an excuse here, lads. Mm-hmm. You get old and get older fairly quick, and you decide to wear whatever clothes that you want or whatever style that you would like to wear. So it's really important that you travel outside your village, travel down to Wilton, for example, if you're living in North Cork, travel internationally if you have the money to do that, or get on the likes of some sort of a visa program, travel to America. And that's what I did when I went into college, because I lived at home for my whole life up till the age of 24 and left and emigrated for Australia. My mind was blown. I didn't visit a country market. When I went over to Australia, I couldn't believe it. I was like, lads, would you look at this? They're selling fruits and vegetables and meats and eggs and fish all here in a stall. Imagine we had them back in Ireland. And some fella goes, we do have them. And I was like, I was joking.
Of course we do.
Of course I know that we have them. Hadn't a clue, because that's not what I was brought up in. I was brought up with a cereal that came out of a box. I was brought up with packaged bars, Nature Valley bars, thought they were healthy. And as a result of that, white bread, used to eat red lead, And as a result of that, then I had poor skin, I had poor confidence, and I wasn't anyway going to become more confident because of the food that I was currently eating and poor sleep. So I was going completely in the wrong direction. I didn't have like a fan or being a legend. Do you know what I mean? He is quite a humble man and isn't something to speak out as loud as I do now. So I had to find somebody, and I, lucky enough, gravitated towards, I'm going to say, through YouTube. Was really big at the time when I was in college, and Facebook, connecting with them. And from that, just watching content, the things that I wanted to be healthy. Still, that's one of my main goals. I get up and did a bit of a run for myself this morning. Not because, oh, Jesus, I'd love to go out in the freezing cold and run and get that type of exercise in. No, I didn't really want to do it. Didn't sleep unbelievably great last night. But the idea is I still did it because that's my main drive. You have to really want it to be healthy. You have to want and have the grit to actually say, even on the cold days, even on the days that I'm tired, I'm still going to get up. Even if right now I don't look like I'm in shape, it doesn't matter what your starting point is. You can literally move. You're not a tree.
You're not a tree. You're speaking from a motivated perspective, very clear in your intention. There must have been a turning point even for you to seek that. Like you're saying around 18, you were on Facebook and YouTube. What about Bebo? Did you leave that out?
But I wasn't connecting with necessarily people that were outside of my school.
Okay.
True that. That's the point.
So it was looking for people outside of
Get outside of your little circle or bubble of people, whether it's your family. If you're not happy with your family, you can't change your family, but you can change the circle of friends that you have.
Yeah, I would agree. I think your environment of where you're around and the shift, and there was a big, huge environmental shift for you, and that's where the penny dropped and your eyes were open even a bit more. But there was something that made you drive for health. And was it like aesthetics? Was it to live longer? What was your pain point? Because I have days where I don't want to tie my shoelaces and go for a run, and I still do it. I have days where I'm exhausted and I don't want to go to the gym. People ask me that, you must love it. No, not really. I love how I feel afterwards. And for people that are listening, like they'll be very curious to say, you're saying these words, I know I want this, but what's driving you? Like, what is your core why to move, to eat well? Like, what is it?
Because I was at the other end of the spectrum. I was that young man, that boy that was not confident, that couldn't talk very well, failed communications in college. And you'd be like, what? Communications is literally just talking. Yeah, I failed that because that's how bad I was, right? I couldn't express myself in any other way. And I feel that I was there, and now I'm much higher on the ladder, right? And want to continue to get closer to the top. And you're never really finished. You know what I mean? People say, Colman, you're done. Just stop. You know what I mean? The bird is cooked. Take it out of the oven. I'm like, no, I want to continue. And it's the continuous, I suppose, want for it. You never, progress is something that's not linear. And it goes up, it goes down. I have great days. I have not so good days. I have loads of good days now, and then I have not so many good days. Up, down, it will always go. It doesn't ever just stay in the middle. And I suppose personal development is something that I leant towards from watching social media. So a lot of people give shit about social media. I'm like, it is whatever you make it, whoever you follow, right? That's literally what it is. And same like television, I cannot recommend that you literally tune into, or the radio or the podcast, that literally information on something that you're interested in. Right? If you want better health, tune into someone. You don't have to tune into me. There's loads, there's thousands, there's millions of people.
But they should definitely tune into you.
They should if you're not following me, you're missing a trick. And if you haven't been following me all along, oh my God, Colman Power Organic Fitness, or you're living underneath a rock here. My goodness. Gracious me.
Can I name something there? And just to talk about your motivation, for me, hearing you speak, it's a motivation of coming from a pain point. And I talk about this a lot, about pain and joy and leaning into it. It's always pain that motivates me for change, but it's like looking at the previous version of who you were, saying, I don't want to be that person. And that motivates me to keep going, because I have seen people knowing that it's good for them to go to the gym and life will be better and they'll have more positive emotions and they'll have more confidence in themselves. That doesn't drive them. They know this to be true. It's when they really tune into the pain point, and that might be, I want to be here for my child. I don't want to feel like I felt that day when I put on my clothes and I just felt like I'm never going back to that. And that uncomfortableness in the moments where it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Was it 5, 6 this morning? You were up and you were off doing 13K. Like
I said take you, but
it was 13. It was 13. You were boasting about 13 this morning.
I was like, guess what I did?
And you went to the gym for an hour afterwards as well. So like there's that level of like that doesn't come from comfort. And I spoke about it myself. Like people are like, oh my God, you did an Ironman, that's great. And I would say most people that you're seeing at the start of the lines of ultra runs, of triathlons, of these huge events, this pain that has brought them to these spaces. Entrepreneurs or the best sports people that are out there, it's often pain. There's something that's driving us. And I think it's okay to tune in with that. It's part of the human experience, because the more we tune into that, we can heighten a sense of motivation for us to live the life that is truly meaningful. This is our run at it. This is it. This is the 80 years, fingers crossed that we have 80 years that we should just go for it. But navigating positive change in our lives sometimes means tuning into the negative parts of our life.
Yeah, and on that point, right, I typically don't like to tell people that I train for X amount of times, but we can delve into it a little bit here.
Sorry for saying you did 13K in an hour at the gym today. But that's what he did, people.
No, right.
Not every day, I'm sure.
No, but right.
Sorry.
It is, no, but sure, it's the perfect time to even talk about it. It's because I use it as a de-stressor. I'm not where I'd like to be right now, right? I have loads of things on, right? My family relations, my personal relations, they're not smooth sailing right now. Business going great, and how I de-stress, how I comprehend, or there's a word I'm missing there, how I literally break it down on my own. Decompress.
Good go, my man. I got you, bro.
Fist bump there. I decompress by using, I'm going to say, training, right? So as I'm running, as I'm doing those weights, I'm going, I feel a little bit better, right? I don't talk to a lot of people about feelings. That's my weakness, right? I will literally and can work all day. I can help other people, but it's something that I need to do a little bit more for myself. Deep dive into why I work so much. Deep dive into why that I'm actually training for the duration of 2 hours today. When most people for an Ironman, I suppose that would be part of it, or a marathon they would train for. I'm not trained for anything in particular, and I'm healthy as fuck.
Yeah, healthy as fuck.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's a starting point of even having these open conversations, talking about our feelings. I think as men, we actually struggle with that in general. I think a lot of men are just really find it very difficult to say anything about emotion. So by you talking about that, there's guys listening to this going, I'm glad he's speaking about that. I think it's really important for other people to understand that it isn't all roses, because it's when it's all smiles and it's like, but I'm not smiling so I can't run like he's doing. It's like, no, he's probably tapping into something. I run with my partner and we have very different, even playlists. I listen to very somber music if I'm listening or I'm processing. And she's like, I'm like counting to the next pole. She's like, I have such a lovely, peaceful space when I'm listening to like some fast-paced music. I'm listening to a guy in a guitar crying, and I am processing emotions. Exercise for me has been the greatest tool in giving me positive mental health, or mental health that I can survive. And I would say the same as you. I'm good. Generally, I'm good. But I work really hard to just be good. Like this isn't come easy. If I sat down and didn't move for a week, I would not be good. You would see a terrible version of me. And I think that's why the other part for people who are listening to this, when we're creating goals and we're creating goals around movement, not only can people see us in the low days, but that they know the tools we need in our good days. Surrounding ourselves with people who are cheering us on for tying our shoelaces and getting us out the door, and not saying, here's a fucking Snickers and sit down and forget about it. So and chill. And maybe sometimes that's what we need. And I'm very lucky that I have people around me and a partner who would name it if rest was needed, but also name it if movement was needed as well. It's a tool. It's a tool that's really helpful. And I think overall, tapping into the level of distress and not talking about our feelings for men, where we absolutely have to. There's a very slow shift in acceptance of even speaking about it now, though. And people say, no, we've come on so far. And there's some really good people and good advocates in the space. We're nowhere where we need to be. And that's why men are really at high risk of suicide. I've lost lots of people in my circle over the last few years, many of them men, some women who have taken their own lives. And then often that's lack of expression of saying what's going on, a lack of the toolkits, we'd say protective factors, tight community, stuff that makes them feel good, like movement, food, sleep, all of those things. So we can surround ourselves with the foundations that are going to make us feel good, the people that are going to make us feel good, equip ourselves with the knowledge, the skills, but then also being able to say, I feel like shit today and I just need to talk to somebody. Yeah. Pick up the phone.
And another thing that we, I was going to say, as friends actually do is we go to saunas. We do active days of healthiness. When other people say, do you know what, we should go to the pub, we'll have great crack in the pub. The pub doesn't really solve it. In fact, it actually sends it. Drink is an antidepressant. I'm not a major fan of drink, but I do drink on occasions. And the idea is, it's great to have friends that are, I'm going to say, not drinking and want to do things other than go to the pub or whatever it may be. Because I can drink. I can drink a nice bit, and people are like, how can you do that? Just like you're surprised last night the amount of food that I can eat. I can do anything.
4 plates.
He's giving all the way the exact figures. I try to keep it as vague as possible. Yeah. 2 hours, 4 plates. But yes, it's really important to, I suppose, do those healthy activities, whether it's a hike, whether it's a walk, whether it's, I'm going to say, a sauna. And actually, that's where I've learned through personal development that men are actually much more comfortable, including, like, I put myself into the men category, but to say that I'm much more comfortable, right? I know we're looking each other into the eyes now. When I'm sitting shoulder to shoulder with someone where I don't have to give them direct content because I don't have to look or think about anything else about their facial features, my facial features, how am I looking, how's my hair, wipe it back quickly, do all those different things.
It's my moustache looking.
Give him the wig. Thanks, man. So that's why I'm super grateful that I have friends in my life that are interested in that. And I didn't have them. Do you know what I mean?
You cultivated them. You surrounded, the ones that probably didn't meet the criteria and you don't spend that much time with. But you cultivated them. You surrounded yourself with them. You've made yourself part of those circles, and you put the energy into that. Yeah. Everything you were saying, I agree. It would reflect the research, what the research says. It's why you have men's sheds, like very popular for men in their 50s and 60s who are struggling, isolated, some who are retired. They struggle with the idea of having to speak and talk like what we're doing. This is very intimate. It's like right in front of each other. I know you have a table and some mics, but this eye contact is direct. It's so intense. Or speaking about emotions, it's like they'll crumble, but they can sit side by side doing something and say, oh yeah, that's a bit shit. That's a bit hard. Just being heard and feeling like we're doing something together and we're moving. Movement is key for men, particularly men who seek that, who are active, and we can move and collectively go together. There's an awful lot that I get from doing therapeutic work that I would never get off someone in a clinic setting. So I actually just get out and we move our body. And through movement, through no eye contact, through playing basketball, through going for a walk, getting into steam room sauna, there is a release. No eye contact, no pressure, but our body is getting some of those needs met. That soothes our nervous system. And when our nervous system is soothed, we relax a little bit and we can open up a bit more. I was having this conversation earlier. We're always driving in a sense of tension. We're always up here like this, and we need to let that down. We need to soothe. We need to relax. You can relax there.
I was just like, relax my shoulders. As he tells me, breathe. Deep breath.
And I speak about the neurosequential model an awful lot. And really what it looks at is when our brainstem is activated in a state of stress, we find it very difficult to connect and build relationships. We find it very difficult to plan our future life. So rather than trying to plan our future life to get out of the stress, reduce the stress, it soothes our brain, and we have the ability then to connect with others and have these conversations. None of these conversations are easy. When we're talking about our emotions or parts of ourselves that we're the most vulnerable, we fear someone's not going to connect with us. And that is so scary, because if we're not connected with anyone like that, why are we here?
Then you're alone.
Then we're alone, and that's...
Nobody likes being alone.
No.
Yeah. And I wanted to come out of that scenario, to going back to, I'm going to say, the younger version of me. I had no friend. Everyone knew me. Everyone knew Colman. He was that guy from Kilmeaden, and he knew all the sports lads. He knew all the farmers, and he knew the tough, rough lads. Yeah. And no one really took me in. And I used to get asked, because when my parents went to the parents-teacher meetings, they're like, who are you hanging around with today? I was like, oh, I was with the sports lads. Oh, I was with the country lads. Oh, I was with this. I didn't really have a concrete cement group that I ever connected with. And until I knew who I wanted to become, how advantageous is to have all these little apples and, I'm going to say potatoes out in front of me, that I literally came and found, I'm going to say, a lovely circle of people that I put you in, because the fact that when we are exercising, we're having the best of chats. We're in the sauna. We're having deep, meaningful chats. We're talking about what are you doing, or throwing out some ideas, or give me some tips. Dating tips, Danaher. I'm trying to get as many as I can possibly from that man. 35 single, there we go, throwing out that.
But that's like, there's a lot of power in that. And I think that fear of being alone, and again, it comes back to like the connection, authenticity. I come back to it all the time. But like, if we feel isolated or alone, which we're living in a generation and a society that has never been more lonely. Research is showing this time and time again. People are finding it really difficult to connect and have relationships. Most people that come into my clinic are, the first thing they say is, I'm lonely and I don't know how to connect. So the most important part is we start really understanding who we are and start slowly letting that out into the world, and seeing who then will embrace us. I think sometimes people want to just come straight outwardly and say like, hey, this is who I am. And then when we're rejected in that, we revert right back. And I have slowly started figuring out who I am, and I'm still on the journey. I'll never know fully. Even the day you die, there's always that growth and learning. But the people who, when they actually see me and I see them, there's such a beautiful connection there. And I have some amazing people, and you're one of these people that are in my life that you could come in and we could sit down like that, sit on the couch, have some food. If you come and we spend time together for 24 hours, in those 24 hours, we've exercised twice. We've probably got into the sea. We've probably had a sauna. We've guaranteed eaten really, really well. We've had beautiful conversations, got out and got the dog for a walk, like living all of the stuff that I fucking love. I love all of these. So when you leave me, my cup is full. Like I need more Colman Powers in my life. Genuinely authentic, lovely connection and all of the other things. For other people, get a Colman Power in your life. Get somebody who fills your cup, and surround yourself. Life is really hard, and there's no point in saying it's not. We have tons of challenges. We deal with loneliness, isolation, fear, health issues, loss of family members, loss of close friends. Like, all of these things are overwhelming. We can surround ourselves with these solid group around us, but ensure that the solid group still have the same values and interests, so that when we have time with them, when we leave them, that we felt richer. I know there's some people, and I prepare myself for them, and I'm like, okay, kind of take a big breath. I'll give them I spend an hour, 2 hours with them, but I'm wrecked afterwards. I'm like, fuck, that was hard.
Yeah, they're called emotional vampires, man.
Oh, yeah.
They literally will suck the life out you. And they can be your close family members, and they can also be your work colleagues, but you have to, and if it's let's say your mother, your sister, your mother-in-law, you minimize the amount of time that you spend with them. That massively helped me. There's loads of those people, you know who they are in your own circle, in your own family. You can't literally eliminate them. They can't just be the magic wand. They disappear. Yeah. No, they do not. They live most certainly a similar circle to you, so you have to deal with that, right? And get yourself more friends that are literally on the same wavelength as the life that you would like to live. You don't have to. The people listening to this podcast, they don't have to do the 5 things that we literally mentioned out. They don't have to do the run. They don't have to do the gym. They don't have to do the cooking. They don't have to do the walking. They don't have to walk the dog, and they don't have to go out do the garden. And that's all the things that me and you have done probably in the last time we met, right? And you're going, amazing, tick, 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 tick. Yeah, if you did one of those things, it would be better than where you were. It's the 1% improvement. I've massively, I'm going to say, put my life down to where I am right now in life, down to, I'm going to say, being a 1% improver through listening to people and listening to books. And that's really important. Anyone that writes a book and takes the time to write a book, it's well worth your time to literally listen in and pick up one golden nugget. My thing is full of personal development books there. My phone's over there charging because I would still to this day, and I'll recommend probably my most favorite book right now here. It's called The Principles of Success by Jack Canfield. I've listened to it, and this is a thick-ass book that I listen to, and listen to at least 15 minutes before bed once I'm in my routine of going to bed at 10 o'clock, getting up at 6 o'clock. So I'm going to bed on a positive note. I'm waking up on a positive note. And it literally just tells you how to be a nice person, right? It's like the advantage of, I'm going to say, if you listen to positive things, your life will be much better. If you listen to negative things, your life will be a little bit shitter.
I agree. Like, there's many times and chapters in my life where I just stop watching the news. I was like, I'm not getting anything from this.
Oh, jeez, the news is the death trap.
Yeah, I genuinely like, and I think it's not ignoring that there's hardship in the world, but if all of we're consuming, and I would like, a lot of teenagers are consuming tons of social media and tons of imagery that they're like sucked into, as well as this is a complex topic in its own right, but the information that they're consuming is what they believe the world is. And whether that is looking at all beautiful images of people living perfect lives, which is not true, they're consumed by that, and that can actually make them feel worse. Or seeing debt and war and like people who are running countries just being not good people. And like, when we let that into our lives, like, you're making conscious decisions to do, like, either if it's good people or good audible or music, like, that is a controllable environmental shift. I work with people at all different stages of recovery through mental health. People who at their very lowest, where some of our wins is putting on a pants that day and coming down the stairs. Fucking fab, because they haven't done that in 6 months. And then other people's wins are completing a 5K. Fab. Like, we all have different scales, but the 1% is huge. When we're writing a story about building confidence and having success in who we are as people, we need evidence to say that we can achieve goals. If we're creating goals that are big, huge leaps, like, I need to run a marathon, I saw someone doing that, I need to do an ultra, and you haven't got out for a walk in about 6 months, you'll fail at that goal 10 times over. What you can do is get out for that walk. What you can do is, in a few months, sign up for that 5K. When we have a collective evidence of wins, everything shifts, our mindset shifts, and our ability to look at the world as everything's achievable, and everything is right. You wrote a book as a dyslexic man, you wrote a book, but you didn't just write a book, you wrote a sentence and then another sentence and another sentence. And that's how it's done. It's just collectively taking one small step, doing it with success, and looking back saying, I can do another fucking book. I can do another paragraph. I can do another, whatever that looks like. So I agree. People who are listening to this and planning these goals in your life, if you have a goal for next year that you want to hit this incredible target, what tiny shift can you make today to help you have that goal? If you want to run a marathon, and that is something at the end of this year, like, what is the goal that you know you have in your tank to do and you can do today to make that happen? An environment is huge. Habit formation and change for success in life is massive. So the environment we design, if it's not the people, it's making sure that we have the stuff to do it. It's making sure we have the resources to do it. You want to join a gym? Don't join a gym that's on the other side of the city that has a fitness class at 5 o'clock when you are going to be in the door home, you're wrecked. Look at the times where you have the most energy. Look at things that are easily accessible to obtain. And I see you out for walks in the morning. It's like, yeah, that was easy to tie the shoelaces. Get out. It's done. Box ticked. And I think that's often the biggest barrier. People see things and it looks unachievable because it's a big distance to get there.
Yeah, and it is hard, but you have to break it down into steps. Yeah. I wrote a book, but I'm not blowing my trumpet about that. Whoop-de-doo right now. The idea is it was so a million miles away from where I thought I could actually be. And I literally had to ask someone, how do you write a book? What do you do? Yeah. And I was actually doing it all arseways. And I'd even pass on tips to people already. Write the literally titles of the chapter before you start writing the book. Yeah. I deleted so much absolute rubbish. Yeah. I was talking garbage there for ages. And they were just like, I had a mentor and just like, did you write the titles of the chapter? I was like, no. So I scrapped half the book that I'd already written and then I had to start again. But that and it's really important. Failure, so important. Failed a million times. set up 1 million programs online. 2 people signed up. Jesus, what am I doing? I'm not on the right platform. Moved on to different things, learned a little bit about how to do social media. Like, you just have to keep on trying. Throw enough muck to the wall, it's going to stick to it. Like, trying 1 million times. If you want to be on the sports teams, you got to keep trying. Because if you give up, that's literally...
It's over then.
Yeah, it's over. And it's only over when you say it's over.
Yeah.
That is really, really important.
Guaranteed way of feeling.
It's a mindset thing you have to switch. Right? That positive mindset of literally saying that you can and you will. Because the person that says they can are right, but also the person that says they can't, they're also
100%. And for you, let's talk about that, like starting this business, very successful business. You have an incredible following, very engaging following. You were even recognized. Let's talk a little bit about that. Recognized outside the shop here. And we're in Dublin now at the moment, and you're from a very small place in Waterford. Are you Kilmallock, is it? Is that
Kilmeaden.
Kilmeaden. So, like, you've started your business, but how did it start? How did Colman Power Organic Fitness? You obviously studied nutrition, you've done coaching, you've done fitness training, but where was the turning point where I'm starting this self-employed journey?
Where did it start? I suppose being an organic grower is thrown in the mix there as well with the master's degree in that. It was just a combination of getting qualified as an educator. I went back to minute. I have so many little certs, just like the little steps. It isn't just doing one cert. It's just literally an add-on each and every time that puts you in a position to go, you know what, I'd kind of like to do that, right? And then that's it. If it completely failed, I didn't like it or wasn't able to, say, survive, that's absolutely fine. And for people who would like to become entrepreneurs, it's definitely not easy. Oh my God, most ongoing work they'll ever take on in your life, nearly as much as children. I don't have children, but I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews, and I know how much work is involved in them. So the idea is it's something that's really difficult, but I love it. I love having to do something that suits my lifestyle. Not taking loads of days off, and I don't really love holidays, but I've incorporated. And if I was to tell you, I'm so grateful to where I am right now. I'm not millionaire standard yet. Because I have to put it out there. Like, I'm not woo manifest this. Let's put it up in that wish thing with the feathers on the back. But I didn't grow up with that. I sure as hell my mother and father would be like, what is a wish ring or whatever it's called, dreamcatcher, wish wing. And so I'm not necessarily someone who's ever going to say, I'll say a prayer. I'm not that religious either, but I definitely do believe there's a higher power out there, and with energies, whether it's the sun or coming from the ground or the moon. The idea is I have definitely, I suppose, found something that I will continue to do until the day I die, right? So I have found that through trial and error, through different courses, I've been qualified courses with degrees and certs out the other side of it. But I've also done mentorship programs and online marketing before working. The idea that like, most people are wasting their time. I mean, time wasting on scrolling, time wasting on that person that they don't even like and they're trying to impress them anyway, and they're staying in that job. If you really want to, I'm going to say, make the jump, do. Because even if you fail, you can always go back to that teaching job. You can always go back to that job in the office. That job in the office is always going to be there. Maybe not that specific one. It'll be in the next town or the next village. What about it, right? And I'm somebody who's followed and loads of different people. And when I get into something, I really get into it. Like I followed Gary Vaynerchuk, like literally the Pope.
Yeah.
I just, anything he said. And I was just like, what are you wasting time for? Just do it. It's actually not that hard. I sold lemonade for like 15 cents and I just made more and more money. Then I got employed somebody else to do a little bit more. And just like that, I took on somebody now and paying them a small amount to do a little bit of admin behind the scenes. That's a stepping stone for me. I'm like, yes, get in, right? Yeah. A million miles from where I would like to be. And that's all the time. You can be a million miles from where you want to be. It's just literally that next year, you get a little bit better. You get a little bit stronger. You get a little bit faster. You get a little bit more knowledge. You get you get a best buddy that comes into your life or a best anything that really helps you, the best book, bestseller, that you get one piece, I'm going to say, of an improvement of where you are right now. And that's something that has to happen. It isn't a massive jump and you say, oh, this person is after slingshotting and overnight. Really, those lads are never after slingshotting. They have been absolutely grinding their tail off for so long, you just didn't even see them. And then they just kind of came into your circle because now you're interested in that topic of fitness or in health or whatever it is. And loads of people have said that And it's a huge task to take on. But I tell you now, I relish the struggling days as well as the nice, lovely days where people say, oh, Colman, isn't it great for you that you get to go off in the Camino? I've literally been posting about that, and I've been working my tail off, and I've worked at jobs where I got less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
Less than minimum wage. And I mean in the last 5 years. I got less than minimum wage, working on farms, trying to sell vegetables and competing with 49-cent stuff. And the whole idea of organic, there's no difference. Organic, there is a difference. Lads, it has to be better for you if literally someone has sown it with the love and the passion that they want to go into this soil, to harvest it with their bare hands and hand it to you without it being wrapped in plastic and shipped halfway across the world. Talk about statistics. I don't give a shit about statistics. I just want you to taste the goddamn thing.
Yeah. So much.
And the energy there's energy in it. There's energy in the food. People say, where do you get the energy? I'm getting the energy from the food. I'm not taking this magic pill that I pop out over here or injecting it into my body. I'm literally doing the simplest of things. I'm eating real food, and it's really important that you don't have to eat everything organic, right? We mentioned that, and I'm glad that just full circle came back into it. You don't have to eat everything organic. I didn't grow up in an organic life, right? But what I'm doing now is incorporating in people through programs or just watching my social media that's 100% free. You just literally pick a seed that you can sow, that you can have whatever it is, vegetable that literally you eat the most of, and that's the most important organic vegetable to grow. Whether it's spuds, which couldn't be easier to grow. I'm thinking of
Dad.
Thinking of Dad. Dad is behind us here in the curtain.
There's loads in that, and I'm gonna just talk about some of the points there. That entrepreneur side, I think some people feel that entrepreneurship is freedom and tons of cash, and we would see it as quite the opposite. It is an awful lot of hard work, and to scale out the hours you work for the money. It isn't that. You did mention that you feel like you're a million miles away from where you'd want to be, and I'd love for you to see where you are now and all of the success that you have, because we can spend an awful lot of time in that. I will be happy when, and you're in it. And you're living it, and you're a great representation of that as well. So I think that's really important to note. And what you bring in the energy, like all of the feedback that I hear from anyone that interacts you from a personal or professional level, is always so positive.
I'm trying to tone it down just a bit here.
No, well, I think you deserve to feel that and hear that from me as well. And I'm really grateful that you came and spoke today. And I think people are really blessed when they're in your presence for a few minutes. You're one of those cup fillers. You kind of jump around and people feel really like you jump and have a little conversation here and there, and you fill people's cups. Are you doing any events or anything coming up over the next few months if people are looking for you and trying to catch you and say how do I spend time with this man? Is it a Camino? Is there local ones in Ireland? Or
I do loads of different things to try and I suppose get as many people into my circle, because there are people crying out for connection. I'm
hearing it all. It's great that you're online and you're doing loads of free stuff, but I actually think people are hungry to meet people and be around people. So yeah.
So I definitely have my organic retreat, which is probably going to be the best thing I'm going to be doing. One of the best things I'm going to be doing this year. It's in Lough Valley. That's just outside Athlone. That's going to have, I'm going to say, organic growing. Right, everyone going away with literally exactly what you're going to need for the likes of a setup. And I can get a complete beginner, thinking of Dan now here in the background, to literally have at least, I'm going to say something. Never mind something. 75% I can have people who've never sown a seed before and have no clue about it, and they will learn massively. They'll go up from 75, or people can literally do the opposite and say, I'm not good at this. You have to literally learn, and I recommend learning from, I'm allowed to say I'm pretty much one of the best lads out there to teach people exactly about, I'm going to say, being a little more self-sufficient. And being self-sufficient 100%, that's the fairy tale wish thing. But just growing some amount for yourself, whether it's planting that apple tree or sowing those onions or putting those spuds, which are three very low energy, I'm going to say, crops or fruits and vegetables that you can really do in your back garden. That's in Lough Valley.
When's the date?
That's February, the 6th, 7th, 8th of February.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Any other events coming up?
We have Caminos. I at least do 2 Caminos throughout the year. That's where I team up with Cara, East Cork Nutrition, and we go over to Spain and walk a section of that. That's something that's really unbelievable. A lot of work went into, I'm going to say, setting that up, but it's such a dream job to be able to do that. But there's been nights where I'm texting people back and making content for that at 9 o'clock, and people say, "Oh, would you shut off?" And I'm like, "No, because if I do this work now, is it one of those sayings you have it in your head now? Sometimes you have to sacrifice something in the now to get something in the future, and that's what I have to do. I have to sacrifice an odd evening, making content, making an event bright, doing and messaging that person so that they'll come, and I go, amazing. Yeah. Now I'm literally living my dream, but I'm also working my tail off to live your dream.
Well, it comes with that. And I think it tastes better knowing that we work so hard for it. Colman, you're an absolute gent. Thank you so much for coming on. This has flown by, but it's been amazing. And I'm sure we're going to have many of these conversations off and on camera. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
On the ball, my bro.
Best of luck with it in the future.
On the ball.